Hello, I'm Sharon Curtis from Sizzix, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use one die set in many different ways. We're going to be using the Sizzix Rainboot planter set, which is a really cute thinlets die set which has got a beautiful Wellington boot and then some lovely florals that you can use with it. So I've got 3 projects that I'm going to make with this die set, and we'll have a close look at them. So this is the first card we'll be making, and this uses the Wellington boot that you get in the die set and some of the florals. You can see you get a great spray of foliage there, which works really well. So that's the first card we'll be making. Second card, I'm concentrating just on the florals, and all I've done is die cut a circle and added them in a nice spray. Now you could continue this and create a wreath, but I thought I'd keep it simple. So that's a nice quick and easy card for my second project. And for my third project, I thought I would make a gift card. Now this is a bit different because this is for any gardening fans, because this is a little pocket that you can pop your seeds into to give as a gift. And I've used the Rainboot planter die here, the main boot, and some of the flowers and the foliage to make this lovely little seed packet. So let's start with this card. And I've got myself a card blank ready, and the first thing I'm going to do is stamp the sentiment, because then I know kind of where to place my boot around it. And I've got from my stash this stamp that I've had for some time, but I thought it worked really well with this because it mentions flowers. So I'm stamping this with VersaFine ink, and I'm using brown because I thought black would be too distracting. I want everyone to be looking at my lovely rain boot, not at everything else. So I thought I'll keep it a bit subtle with brown. And I've got my die set here ready. I keep mine on magnetic sheets just to keep them all neat and tidy and together. And I've got some pattern paper. I thought the Wellington boot would look lovely, the rain boot, from some pattern paper. So I've grabbed some polka dots, and I'll just get my platform on my machine. And because these are thinlet dies, the plates I need for my machine are the base platform, and I do need this thin adapter, which is for the wafer thin dies. Whatever die cutting machine you're using, you'll know what the combination is for wafer thin dies. And because I'm going to cut some flowers as well, I might as well run it all through at the same time. So I want my boot to be from this lovely pink card, so we'll pop that on. But then while I'm at it, I might as well die cut a few other elements. Now within this set you've got this fabulous little buckle that goes really nicely on the boot, so we'll die cut that from some grey card. And then I've just got a selection of different colours. And I have already die cut some of the elements just to save a bit of time, but we might as well die cut ourselves some of the foliage. You've got 3 different foliage elements in here. And what I love is they've thought of everything, because one of these faces straight up, one goes off to the side and one goes off to the other side, so that when they peep out of that rain boot, they kind of spray out in a nice fashion. So we'll run those through as well, and then because I've still got a bit of space on here, let's do a couple of yellow flowers just to give us a nice selection. And just do a couple because as I said, I have already cut a selection. So we'll roll those through. And our starting point is going to be the Wellington, so we'll pop that there. And then I've got the buckle piece, and I'll just keep that there because it's got the little internal bit. Now you'll notice when you look at the one I've already done, I've actually got the sole of the boot in grey. So I'm going to I've got that tiny scrap of grey left, and what I'm going to do is just place my boot on there and run that back through, which will give me a bottom piece of the sole to add on. And we'll just pop these to the side here ready. Pop those back on there. Then I've got my lovely foliage. I've used a nice kind of spring green for these, and actually you'll notice all the colours really are quite spring-like. There we go. So we've got those. We'll run this through to get this grey piece, and I'll show you how I did that. Put that on there. And then I've got just a piece of my Rainboot. And let's stick down the boot first, because then that's kind of our starting point for everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some foam adhesive for this, because I want to be able to tuck my flowers in the top. So what I'm going to do is just place a couple at the bottom, and I'm not going to go too far up because I don't want these foam pads getting in the way when I pop my flowers in. So I've just added some foam pads at the bottom, and I'm just going to add the next one there. I'm not going to go any further up because I want, when I start putting my flowers in, I don't want these foam pads to get in the way. So I'm just going to peel the backing off that one, and then that can go on the card. So I'm going to pop my Wellington boot on, like so, and I'm kind of thinking of where that sentiment is. Also think that your flowers are going to come up a little way, so probably about there is right. So I'll pop that down. I can just snip off the bottom part of this, just follow the lines on the die, and that will give you the sole of the boot. And you can just a few dots of glue on the boot and lay that on top. And then we're ready just to start adding our flowers. And I'm going to start, the easiest way to start is to start with the leaves, because then you can kind of, that gives you your shape. And then it's up to you really how many flowers you want to add. You can add tons if you want to. I'm going to keep this quite simple, and I've kept the colour scheme to just sort of 3 or 4 colours because I didn't want it to be too fussy. So because I haven't put a foam pad at the top, it means I can tuck those in. And I love this little one that just faces off the other way. And you can just have it overlapping off the edge of the card slightly. And we've got the buckle. Just put a dot of glue, pop that on, like so. And there is the inside piece, which we'll just quickly add. Now you could do this piece separately from, it would look quite good if you did it from silver card. I'll just put a dot of glue, lay that on top. So that's our buckle, and then we can start with the flowers. So I've already done a couple of yellows, so let's start with those. Now there's no wrong or right way of assembling these flowers. You've got a great selection here. So just assemble them however you like. And I've got a whole load here that I cut earlier, just to save time. What I do when I get these sort of die sets is I die cut everything from loads of colours, because particularly as we are today where I'm making more than one project, it means I've just got them all there ready to go, and it saves me time. So with that big flower, I've got lots of possibilities of what to layer on it. So we've got these kind of centerpieces. Let's go with one of those. And then again within there we can put another piece. And then I'm just going to dot some glue elsewhere on these, and I'm just going to add smaller flowers now because I kind of want that main flower to be the focal point, and I don't want this to be too fussy. So we'll just pop on there, and then let's have a small pink one here, and then I'm going to call that done for the flowers. Now if you wanted to, you could add some little pearls to the centres or Nouveau drops, something like that, but I like to keep it simple, so I'm going to leave it there and leave that card as it is. So there's my finished card. Really pretty pastels, and great card for someone that's a gardener, I think. So now we've got one card done, let's go on to the next one. And for this one, we're going to use just some of the florals with a simple die cut circle to create this card. So to start with, I've grabbed a card base, and I'm using a square card this time just for something different, and I've already stamped another sentiment, another floral type sentiment, and I've stamped this onto craft card with white embossing powder. I'm going to attach this with foam pads because then if I want to tuck any flowers kind of behind it, I can. So we'll just add some pads onto the back of that. You don't need many, 3 will be enough. Like so. And then bear in mind that the flowers are going to come up a little bit higher than the circle, so do it slightly below halfway. And then we can start to assemble this. Now, I've already die cut all these flowers and elements, so it's just going to be a simple procedure of placing them how I want to. Now I've got these ones that kind of curve to the right, so these are ideal to go on this side, and what I'm thinking is this center point is where I'm going to layer up some flowers, so don't worry if it gets a bit messy here where you've kind of got your pieces overlapping a bit, because we're going to cover that with flowers. Now this particular one sort of angles off to the other way, so we'll pop that there. And that gives me a nice shape around the circle. If you want to, you can snip into some of these ones that kind of go straight up, because you could still make those work, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to stick with the 2 that are nicely angled. I've got enough different shape here to just use those. So I'll put one like so, and then I'm going to use the same one here on the other side and just overlap it a little. If you want to make them shorter, just snip a piece off the end, because you don't want it obvious that it's the exact same die. So if you snip into it, make it a bit shorter, it looks like a completely different type of leaf. So there we are. Now that doesn't look great at the moment because the centre looks a bit messy. This is where our flowers come in. Now you want a largest flower to be your centre point. Well, let's go with this pink one. And we'll pop that in the centre, and then we'll kind of work around that. So I'll put a bit of glue in the centre, and we'll use a contrasting colour. And then we can go from there. That's the good thing about this die set, is you've got a really great selection of sizes. So you can really pick out what works for the gap that you want to fill. Now I'm going to do this slightly different than the one I've already made because I haven't used any of these. They look like little tulips. And let's go with a pink. And it looks nice if you just scatter a couple of the smaller ones above to kind of continue it out away from the circle. So pick up some of the tiny ones, pop them there. And then I think we want one larger flower here that will just cover up those messy leaves. Tuck it under the main centre one, and then we'll pop something in the centre there. Now we've got some blue. I think we probably need a bit more yellow. Let's find a smallish yellow. Let's go with that one. Like so. And there we go. Isn't that a lovely little spray of flowers? And here's the finished card. You can see with the craft cards, those pastel colours really contrast well, and it makes a really pretty card. And for the third project, we're going to make this lovely seed packet. So to save time, I've already die cut my seed packet. And this is a Tim Holtz die actually, which is called Gift Card Bag. And I've used the Pop Art Alpha die set, which is also in the Chapter 1 release. And I've just put the word seeds at the bottom. Now we've still got this little pile of flowers that we've got left over, so all I need to die cut probably is my boot. So I've got some green card. This is the Sizzix cardstock, and I'll just cut out a scrap big enough for my boot. So, and we'll also need some brown for the little buckle and for the sole of the boot. We're going to do as we did in the last card and put a contrasting sole on the bottom. So we'll need to run this through twice, once with the green and then I'm going to need my buckle piece, and then I'll need to just run it back through with a bit of brown to create that sole. So there we go. We'll just run those through. So there's my boot. And again, what I'm going to do is put foam pads on this so that it gives me the wiggle room to pop my flowers under. So let's stick that down first, and then we can start to worry about the sole of it and what flowers we're going to use. So again, I'm not going to go all the way up with my foam. I'll just pop it like so. Bear in mind that your flowers are going to come a little bit higher up, so put it as close to the words as possible. And then I've got my buckle here, so we'll stick that on. Like so. And actually for this one I've done a contrasting collar for the buckle, so we'll do that as well because I've got to run through the boot. So while we're doing that, we'll just grab a bit of grey card, like so. These types of dies where you've got lots of small dies in a set are great for using up any scraps of card you've got. You certainly don't need to be cutting into a new sheet of card for this sort of thing. And then I'll grab my boot, and I can use this scrap of brown because I only need the bottom part. Run that through, like so. And now I've got everything I need for my boot. Don't need those pieces. And then I just need this bottom part, which again I'll snip to shape and assemble on. So I'll just follow the line of the die. Just makes the boot look more realistic, I think, to do this two-tone effect. And it only takes a second. And there we go. Line that up. And then I've got this tiny little buckle. So we'll just add a tiny dot of glue. That's all we need to hold that down. And place that. So many lovely details to this rain boot. There we go. That looks like a very expensive pair of boots, doesn't it? So again, the foliage is kind of angled, so it helps you. I'm going to snip this down because obviously there's not a huge amount of space above my boot to the top, so I can just trim this to fit exactly where I want it. And I want one with a bit of a curve. There we go. Like so. And we'll just do one more. Let's grab this one that's going off a bit. So, and that gives me a lovely little spray. And again, I can do the same as before. Mix and match my flowers. If you want to stick to just a couple of colours, you can. I like having a good pastel selection really for this one. So we'll pop that purple really pops on top of that green. And then again, I'm going to put some smaller flowers kind of just scattered around next to the flowers. There we go. And then I think we need one kind of focal flower, and let's go for a purple. And there's no right or wrong to these, so just layer up whichever one takes your fancy. I think this looks lovely on the larger flowers. And then we can add another layer with that. We can put a little circle one in the centre, like so. Just pop that on there. And then I think we just got space for one more. Let's pop a small one here. This blue, let's have some blue this side, like so. And there's our seed packet all finished with those lovely flowers poking out the top of my Rainboot. So that's given you 3 ideas. I have got another couple of things just to show you that I made previously. First of all, here's another idea. This is a simple card, but it's in a landscape format. And I've used craft card as a background, and the yellow of the boot really pops against that craft card. So that's another nice idea. And as well as putting the flowers coming out of the boot, I've just added a little spray to the other side. So there's an idea. Now this one, all I've used is one die from that set. One of those flowers I've die cut many, many times. And this is a polystyrene ball. And all I've done is used a hot glue gun to attach lots of those flowers. And I've added little flat back pearls to the centre of each. And this would be beautiful for a wedding. So that's another idea for you. You do need a little bit of patience to make this one though, because it's quite time consuming, but I think worth it. If you'd like to see some more inspiration and the rest of the Chapter 1 release, head over to the CraftStash website, which is craftstash.co.uk. I'm Sharon Curtis from Sizzix. I hope you've enjoyed these tutorials.